Well, thank you for inviting me to speak today. My name is Rebecca Glotfelty. I'm the founder and executive director of Real People Media, and we are a nonprofit organization that helps people share their stories through the literary, visual, performing, and media arts. We also work with Main Street Calumet, and we produce the Red Jacket Jamboree, a new old-time radio variety show from the Calumet Theater. And I'll be talking about that in just a couple minutes, but first I want to backtrack and tell you about Real People Media and how that got started. I started working in video production in the mid-90s, back when things looked very different. You were splicing audio tape and reel-to-reel. And in the late 1990s, I think it was 1999, the landscape changed a lot. I had been working for a video production company in the Kalamazoo area. And in 1999, Final Cut Pro came out. It was a video editing software. And it really enabled the consumer to do things that would have cost tens of thousands of dollars to do. So in the early 2000s, I was then living in northern Lower Michigan, and I started up a small video production company called Real People Productions. And that company, I would work with local nonprofits, doing work for them. One of my major clients was the Little Traverse Bay Bands of Odawa Indians, and I did their video production work for about 5 years. And I always got people asking, okay, we're having a meeting, can you videotape this for me? Or can you do some free work? It was always, can you do this if you don't have much money, we're a nonprofit. And that's not really what I set out to do in my professional work. And also, it was something that, with a little bit of training, a little bit of equipment, like a camera or some other equipment, people could do for themselves. And so, around, the idea of Real People Media first came around in 2006, and we incorporated, myself and another couple filmmakers incorporated, and then we got our 501c3 determination in 2010. And so the idea was that we would be basically, in northern Lower Michigan, they didn't have a public access station, but we would become sort of like a public access station. We would provide video equipment and training, and we partnered, we were members of the Traverse City public access station, where we could submit work to get on the news or on their channel. So that's how that came about, and we had partnered with lots of nonprofits in the area. We taught video production classes. This is our website, Real People Media, and under success stories you can see some of the people we partnered with. We partnered with local libraries and taught production classes. We taught local school groups video production and storytelling. You can stay right there.
All right.
We worked with Thornswift Nature Preserve. They're located north of Harbor Springs, and they would have school kids come every year. And that's John Riggs, the manager, and he would get really mad because all the little kids would run off the trails, and they would throw stones at the frogs, and you'd be worried that they're trampling the lady slippers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we helped him produce, I think it's like a 7-minute video called How to Walk in the Woods.
That's great.
And it was geared towards elementary, 3rd and 4th grade kids, and it told them to slow down and appreciate what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So he introduced them to the lady slipper, introduced them to the pileated woodpecker, and told kids what they can see and experience if they only learn to slow down and be quiet and listen.
Wow.
So that video is available online, but it's also what they show at their nature center before kids walk through there. The Sioux Environmental Club approached us. They have an after-school program for kids, and they wanted to produce a video on getting out and being healthy in the winter. So we did a video with them, and the kids are doing the work. I go through the steps on how to produce it, but the kids are actually using the camera, and I have a camera that looks like this camera over in the back that the TV has, and not a little one. And I purposely had the larger camera, even though it was more, that one antiquated, because the bigger the camera, makes kids slow down. It's not just a snapshot. They have to work together as a team. So I kept that Iron Horse going for years and years for that reason. So they have a video, and we also have a video on behind the scenes on how it was created. So you can see the kids interviewing and all that. This is the latest one. I did a video production boot camp for the Emmett County Recycling Center just last month. And they, in this boot camp, which is a 2-day training, we produced this 3-minute video on how to recycle plastic bags and what they become. They use them for recycled decking. The Trex company is located out east, and they ship their plastic bags. But they also need people to do it in a way that they can use it. So that video does that, and I was surprised how many people watch a video on recycling bags. They had it up in 2 weeks, and 400 people watched it. I was very surprised, actually, by that. But if you can get 400 people in your county doing something properly, that makes a big difference. So it's also how the video is being used makes a big difference. I've told people don't bother doing a video, actually. If they're not going to present it in a way to get out, to see people, there's not much reason for doing it. So we help people with distributing it if they want. We give them as much information as we know and have. So a couple of years ago, I've been living in northern Lower Michigan, the Charlevoix area, for almost 20 years. And I decided it's time for my partner and I to sort of, let's see what it's out there. So we've been looking for a long time, like where would we move if we had to stay in Michigan? I don't know why we wanted to, like Michigan, but mentally I wanted to stay in Michigan. So we decided to move as far away and still be in Michigan as possible and move here to Copper Country. So about the time that the switch was happening, we changed the mission of Real People Media from helping people tell their stories on video, specifically, to helping people tell their stories through the literary, visual, performing arts. And I also have had an art gallery for the last 20 years, so the visual arts is very much in my mind. And we partnered at the beginning of last year, so 2017, with Main Street Calumet. And Main Street Calumet had done a program starting in 2009 to 2013 called the Red Metal Radio Show. And Oren Tickerman was the director of that. And Main Street Calumet, as you probably know, helps to bring economic, I don't say stability, boost the economy in Calumet. So this was sort of, for us, a perfect partnering. We want to help share people's stories, and they want to help boost tourism to the area. So we created the Red Jacket Jamboree, and it's a new old-time radio variety show. So today we've done, we finished one, our fifth show, was that fifth show? Yeah, fifth show on June 21st, and that includes, we record 2 one-hour radio episodes per show. So we have completed 10 hour-long radio episodes, and we are currently marketing that to radio stations in northern Lower Michigan. IPR is interested out of Interlochen, and WNMU and WNBY out of Newberry. And I just found out yesterday there's a little digital station starting in Curtis, Michigan. So we're trying to get the word out through these radio stations about the show. And the show features storytelling, music, and songs from the Keweenaw Peninsula. We're also partnered with Keweenaw National Historical Park, and they write a sketch for the show called Madame Blanc, and she uncovers the Copper Country's mysteries. So that is written by Wendeth Davis. She's the superintendent of KNHP. And it includes a house band as well, and we have 4 musicians in the house band: Bill Carruthers on piano, Jerry Yance on guitar, who's also our musical director, Harry Violo on percussion and vibraphone in the back, and Harry South on bass. And that cast of characters, so to speak, came together as nobody knew each other. It's sort of was a product of shifting out. So these musicians were all introduced to each other as a result of the show. And they all say it's one of their favorite gigs, partly because we have it very scripted. Every show has a theme, and last month it was the solstice was one of the themes, and also we had planned the Gutsy People of the Keweenaw before the flood happened, but it was very appropriate because of the flood as well. And we actually had Jeff Voss was supposed to speak at the show, and his house was apparently destroyed because of the flooding. He was supposed to be on the show to talk about Guts Frisbee, because part of our Gutsy People of the Keweenaw. So it's very scripted. It's not a variety of show with just haphazard acts. The singer-songwriters that we pick, we usually pick them for sometimes the songs that they bring to the show. So it's laborious in that part. We try to feature maybe a certain historical topic for a show as well. So that's a big part of it. Ralph Horvath is in the front. He's a retired Michigan Tech professor, and he's one of our Red Jacket radio actors who helps bring those scripts to life. And that, I don't know how long we've been talking now, but...
You're at 11 minutes.
Oh, my God. I thought you were supposed to cut me off.
You know what? It sounded great. I just let you go.
Oh, okay. All right, so I was worried I wouldn't. So that is that in a nutshell. And what we need from the community is continued, awareness of what we do, come to a show, things that don't cost money, like our Facebook page. If you come to the show and like it, write a testimonial that we share. As we speak, literally as we speak, well, maybe at 10 o'clock today, they were reviewing, the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs is reviewing our grant request for 2019. And so this fell on the same day as I want to be, listening to that. So we got a grant from them last year. They gave us, we requested $30,000, and that's for the whole season. So it's just a fraction of the cost. And they gave us just under $20,000. So that needs to be made up with sponsors and ticket sales, donations. We received donations from the Leo S. Guthman Fund, who actually has been a supporter of Real People Media for a number of years. And but that well might soon be dry. So we have to look for other sources as well. Any questions?
So if you're going to other public radio stations, do they pay for your programs?
As of now, no. And I mean, I talked to like WNBY, it's not a public station, it's a commercial station, and the thought there, they said they wouldn't be able to pay for it. Our goal right now is to get it heard. I think that's the number one thing, and to say, here, it's free. That's a little bit more enticing, but that means we have to get sponsors to do it, or get people in the seats. It's kind of one of these things. The more people that hear it on the radio are more likely to come, and then your ticket sales will increase. And it's also the more people that can hear it and get it on the radio, the more likely sponsors will want to sponsor this because they're bringing people in. So
public radio in Wisconsin and Minnesota might be a good place for you too. That's probably more likely than Southern Michigan.
I'm looking at that. There is a Northern Minnesota has a radio station called the Great Northern Radio Show, and Aaron Brown is the host of that and writer, and I've been communicating via email with him. And so they I know that show probably takes precedent for some of the area, but we're certainly looking towards Wisconsin as well, because I think it's of interest to people in Wisconsin. And I had some people, the director at Interlochen was like, well, it's the UP, and will people be interested? The history that we're sharing here is relevant to the history all over the state, and we also make it relevant to history across the world. And we try to, educational as well as entertaining. We try to be. And in the last show, we did a little play on, I don't know if you know about Calumet, but there's some people that want to disincorporate. And so we brought that up. You know, we bring timely things up. So we brought that issue up. And we said, well, what would happen with the name change, blah, blah, blah. And then we talked about, of course, it used to be called Red Jacket, and Lorium used to be Calumet. So we did a little play on that, which led to the change happened in 1929 from Red Jacket to Calumet. Well, in 1930, which is close enough in world time for me, Constantinople changed its name to Istanbul. 1953, a song came out called Istanbul, all about the thing. So this led into a long introduction to the Coppercats performing Istanbul on stage. So it's all this, it's also, you remember the history, it's fun, and it's relatable to the world. And also, you know, Lorium got its name from the Greek town of, hopefully I say it right, Lavrion, and that's how that town was named. So we try to give you a global picture of what was happening in 1914 Calumet, what was happening in the world. So you're looking at it through many different, you know, angles. And so that's the point of it, is to share stories. And we have visiting storytellers as well. We got a grant this year to bring in Bill Jamerson. He's from Escanaba, but he will be at the show for Pasty Fest. We have a show on August 17th, and he's going to be talking about, sharing some stories related to that. And we have Pete Griffin coming back in October for the show in October 4th. He grew up in the UP and worked for the Forest Service, and he now is called the Storytelling Ranger. He lives in Alaska, but he still has family back here. So he'll be coming back, and that is funded by the Michigan Humanities Council, the grant we got for that. So we're bringing people in. Bill will also be doing a free public performance that Real People Media is bringing in for the Pasty Fest for kids. So it's for songs. So we're continuing to do other projects as well. We've done some other projects in the past for Real People Media. You can look at the website. One of the things that I didn't know where we would be today, so just in case I brought the, we have a Bose speaker system, and this is, if you were a nonprofit and belong to our organization, you can check this out. At the moment, we're not having our lending library available, but this is the type of thing that we would provide to nonprofits. So instead of every nonprofit having to own video production equipment, a speaker system, just one could. We could, pool our resources and provide this as a lending library. And I know some, I don't know if the library here does that, but some intermediate school districts will lend out equipment like a projector. Some don't, but we would have that service. I'll tell you, I'm a really bad business person, because I'm like, you need the accountant that says, okay, this is so much money to check out. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, you can take it, I give a lot of resources away, mostly my time I give away, but somebody asked a question about 10 minutes ago, I don't know who it was.
So I have a question about, I guess, the dissemination of your shows. So you're looking at radio stations to host and replay the shows. Have you thought about podcasting? Or
we're holding off on podcasting just for the moment, and the reason why, and I don't know if it's necessary quite yet, but just in case it is, our goal is to get it on the radio, because we feel that this is the best way to disseminate the information to the widest group. I mean, people really have to go looking for a podcast, and it's rather than having it on a radio station. So we really want to have the carrot really dangling for these stations that, people can't find it anywhere else. They'll have to go to you. They'll have to go to you or your website, because if, like Interlochen, if they do stream things live. So you would be able to, listen to it on your computer at the time, but it directs people to their website to do it. So that's why, but it's not that we won't do that. And down the road, I see that as a possibility, but at the moment. And we're trying to advertise this. Our goal is basically to complete our 16-hour-long episodes this year, and to advertise is, get the word out to as many people. In December, I was on WJR, on their Pure Michigan radio, talking about the show before our Valentine's show that we had. There's going to be a small little blurb about it in Traverse Magazine about the Red Jacket Jamboree. And also, I encouraged them to do a feature on the whole Copper Country, not just the radio show. We're looking to tour groups. And I put together a tour brochure that includes the Red Jacket Jamboree into it, but it also includes other sites like the Seaman Mineral Museum, the Quincy Mine. So it shows it as a package. It's not just, you're not just driving 7 hours, for a show. You're for the whole experience. So it's sort of like just the icing on the cake. But we did get quite a few people from out of town for October show. And we had somebody who reportedly came from Staten Island, New York, and rode his motorcycle here for the last show. I have no idea. I asked him on Facebook because he gave a review. I said, how did you hear about this? So I have no idea how he did, but we're getting people from, Hessel and Augrey and Marquette and Ishpeming coming to the show. So that's our main target. I mean, for Main Street Calumet is to bring people here and to learn about the history. So that's what we're trying to really market people to people around the state.
Your slogan should be worth the drive.
It is, yes. I think on the brochure, I think we have say it's well worth the drive. And most people don't know, if you think about people say, the UP, it's a vague, fuzzy thing to people. And so it's trying to tell people, hey, there's this and this and this. Nobody actually probably believes me. And maybe that's the best kept secret. That, it's a double-edged sword. You need the people to visit, but then you probably don't want, I live on a highway, I moved from a highway, so in Charlevoix, and 10,000 cars go by my door every day. That's not pleasant. So it's.
But as far as the radio shows, like this woman had said, the Alumni Association at Tech. And if you can reach, I don't know how you could find who's having family reunions, but getting that out, because the UP has exported people for decades and decades, and we have infiltrated the rest of the country, and they all would love to hear things like that.
I follow blogs like, are you from the Copper Country when?
Yeah.
And on blogs like that, and members of groups like that, and it is amazing the number of people that have family from here and know of it. I talk to people all the time like, oh, my grandmother was from here. Well, come on back, come visit. And those are the sort of the people that you would really want to come visit, because they have an appreciation for history in the area. And I think that's what this type of show appeals to, the people that are interested in history. And it's nostalgic. I mean, it's a bit nostalgic. We try to come back and we play on the radio theme. Great music. The band is superb. I don't know if you know what you have here, but like Bill Carruthers is the pianist, and so he's in the Coppercats band, but he also does accompaniment. But he's one of the top, kid you not, jazz pianists in the country. And he's toured all over the world. He lives like outside Mass City. I don't need to. I know I don't need to talk to this anymore, but it's just kind of fun.
I have a question. Do you have any CDs or anything available to listen to? 'Cause I know I bought one from the, was it Red Jacket Metal Show?
Red Metal.
Red Metal. Okay, so I listen to that, you know, when I drive downstate to see my daughter, and if you had CDs, people would buy them.
We are looking into that. Of course, I thought about maybe doing a Kickstarter campaign for that specifically, to produce CDs. You can listen to the, one of the last, the Copper Dog 150 episode. You can listen to that online right now. If you go to this page, it'll start playing automatically.
Okay.
There's a couple things in it that I want to change in that. Difference with editing, partly it was my interview, that I would want to change. But you can listen to that, and then we're looking into that. And we have content with sketches. We have a whole CD that could just be sketches now with 10 hours long. So, but we want to release them as an entire package because it is, as I said, scripted, and the sketch leads into the music, leads into this and that. I'd like to have CDs, and I think that would go really well as like a Christmas gift because it's history and music from the area. I mean, I'd buy it. I really would.
Yeah, I buy those kind of things for my father. He's going to be 88 this year, and he just loves anything history. So I look for history books up in Klein, and he would love that.
Well, we can talk.
Okay.
You could be the first donor to our Kickstarter campaign that would go to, producing the CDs. But it's a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot by doing the show. The musicians love it because we allow for, improv. A lot of improv happens with the actors. We're not so uptight that, that line, you're changing that line. People feel that they have the freedom. And that's what makes it really interesting. Even our guest singer-songwriters, even they perform with the Copper Cats behind them. So their sound is actually different than, like if you bought their CD, it sounds different. It's a unique show in that regards. It's not just a variety show where somebody's coming, okay, they're performing this the same way they do at every other concert. There'll be a different sound behind it. We had, I don't know if you know Breathe Owl Breathe, anybody hear of that group? They were in our March show, and what they produced with the Copper Cats is just really exciting for me. It's just,
One last question. We're coming up on time. Any other questions?
Yeah, I can talk later. I guess I can talk more than I thought I could. But thank you for coming today, and we have rack cards out there, and we do have a promo code. If you use that promo code, you get $2 off your ticket. And so the rack cards are out there. We offer it free to students in 17 and under with a paid ticket, so you can bring your family out, and it's free for kids. What else do we do? We have posters out there. If you have a business at Baby Paddle Sports, you can hang the poster, and we appreciate that because we distribute 120 posters throughout the UP, 70 in Houghton County, and I tell you, from where I moved from, I'm saying moved because we're in the process of purchasing a house, so it's not like quite happened, but the community, maybe I can find 5 places that will hang a poster. So that's one of the reasons why I really like the community spirit, that 70 places in the county will put up a poster for you. And I'll put a bulletin board up. I mean, that's something really special. It doesn't happen everywhere. And we acknowledge that on our website. We put thank you for displaying a poster. We put your name, and if I haven't gotten to it, but we'll put a link to your business as well. So we do thank you because it is something. It means a lot. It's how we get people in by seeing posters. We also advertise. But I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.